Hello, thank you, beautiful listeners. I appreciate you so much. Now onto the story. It existed before names, before the first fire was struck. A cold thought in the void. Now it was a creature of smoke. Black smoke, thick and choking. It moved like a thought, a bad thought. A dark wish given form. It had no true home, only hunger. This smoke was not born of fire. It was something else entirely, something older, something that understood darkness. It slithered through cracks, under doors, through the smallest openings, unseen, unheard, until it was too late. It had watched civilizations rise. It had seen them crumble to dust. People were fleeting, their ambitions, their fears. These were interesting, like bright, foolish moths. The smoke demon fed on such things. It fed on the echoes of their choices. It savored the taste of their despair. A connoisseur of ruin, the world was full of shadows. Most were harmless, empty places where light did not reach. But this shadow was different. It was alive. It was intelligent. It had a purpose, a terrible, patient purpose. It sought out specific flavors of souls, the kind that played with fire. The demon listened. It listened to the thrum of the world, to the hidden currents of magic. Some magic was old and careful, respected. The demon ignored this kind. It was not interested in skill. It was interested in carelessness, in arrogance, in power sought too quickly. It could smell them, those who dabbled, those who read forbidden words, who drew circles with shaky hands. They thought they were clever. They thought they controlled something. The demon knew better. They were merely opening doors, unknowing, unprepared for what might enter. These people were easy to find. Their magic was loud, like a child shouting in a library. It sent ripples through the unseen, a beacon for the smoke, a dinner bell. The demon would drift towards the scent, slowly, patiently, enjoying the anticipation. They often lived alone, or with secrets. Their magic was a hidden thing, a guilty pleasure sometimes, a desperate hope other times. The demon did not care about their reasons. It only cared about the opening, the weakness, the invitation scrawled in reckless energy. Soon it would accept. A poorly drawn sigil, a chanted word, mispronounced, a ritual performed with half understanding. These were the keys. The demon did not need a grand portal. It needed only a slight tear, a moment of lost focus, a flicker of doubt in the caster's heart. The magic they tried to wield. It became a path for the smoke. It would gather outside their homes. A deeper patch of night, a sudden chill in the air. Sometimes a pet would whine, or a bird would fall silent, small signs easily missed. The dabbler, lost in their efforts, would notice nothing until the air grew heavy. The smoke would find its way. A loose window latch, the space beneath a door, a forgotten chimney flue. It poured in like silent water, darkness filling the spaces. It did not rush, it explored, learning the shape of the home, learning the shape of its future vessel. The victim would feel it first. A subtle shift, a feeling of being watched. The hairs on their arms might rise. They might blame a draft or their own nerves, the magic they had stirred. It twisted in the air around them, no longer theirs to command. The invitation was accepted. The moment of entry was subtle, not a sudden blow, more like a sigh. The black smoke would condense, focusing on its target, the one who had called, unknowingly. It would swirl around them, a cold, unwelcome embrace. They might try to scream, but their voice would catch. It entered through the breath, a gasp of surprise, a sigh of sudden fear. The smoke, thin and insidious, slipped past their lips, down into their lungs. It tasted of old dust and forgotten graves. And the cold between stars, a violation deep within. Their eyes would widen, terror dawning. They would feel it inside, a coldness spreading, not just in their body, but in their thoughts. Their will, a flickering candle, the smoke, a rising wind. They were losing themselves, piece by piece. The struggle was brief and always futile. The demon was too old, too practiced. It settled into the mind like a spider in a new web. The victim's consciousness receded, trapped, a horrified passenger in their own hijacked form. Section 5. A dance of dark puppets. Once inside, the demon was master. The body, a new suit of clothes. The voice, a new tool. It could access memories, skills, everything that made the person. But the core was hollowed out, replaced by ancient malice. The eyes might look the same, but something cold lurked behind them. The demon had plans, always. It craved chaos. It enjoyed shattering lives, not just the life of its host, but those around them. It would use the host's hands to write terrible letters, to make threatening calls, to plant seeds of discord. The acts were often subtle at first: a cruel word, broken trust, a small, mean-spirited betrayal, things that could be explained away. Almost. The host, trapped inside, would watch, helpless, screaming without a sound, forced to witness their own undoing. Then the darkness would escalate. The demon grew bolder, using the host's knowledge, their access, to commit more serious wrongs: theft, vandalism, sometimes worse. The host's friends and family would see a monster, wearing a familiar face. The terror was a creeping thing. It infected everything. Like a slow poison, the possessed person would change. Their habits altered, their kindness gone, replaced by a chilling emptiness or a volatile anger. Loved ones would be confused, then frightened. The demon reveled in this confusion. It watched relationships crumble. It listened to whispered worries. It fed on the growing fear. The host's life became a stage for the demon's dark play. Every action was calculated to cause maximum pain, maximum bewilderment, leaving scars that would never heal. Communities felt the ripples, strange events, unexplained acts of malice, a sudden wave of unease. No one understood the source. They pointed fingers at stress, at madness, at simple human cruelty. They could not see the smoke, the puppet master hidden within. The possessed became isolated, feared, misunderstood. Their pleas for help, if they could form them, sounded like ravings or admissions of guilt. The demon twisted their words, made them seem culpable, the true victim, seen only as the villain. Eventually, the deeds grew too dark, too public. The law would notice, or neighbors would finally call. The possessed person would be found, often near the scene of their crime, looking dazed or defiant. The demon's influence still strong. They were the perfect scapegoat, the obvious culprit. Interrogations were fruitless. The host, deep inside, knew the truth, but could not speak it. The demon held their tongue, or filled their mouth with lies. Confessions might be forced, or fabricated by the demon's will. The evidence always pointed one way, at the person, not the presence. Cameras, if they were present, offered a strange clue, a fleeting image, just before the crime or just before the discovery. A flicker of black smoke, anomalous, unexplained, dismissed as a glitch, a lens flare, dust. No one connected it to the horror. The possessed person would be arrested, charged, their face on the news, a monster in plain sight. The world saw a human failing, a descent into evil. They did not see the ancient thing. That wore a human mask. The real perpetrator remained invisible, untouchable, preparing to depart. The demon did not stay long. Once the chaos was sown, once the host was broken and blamed, its work was done. It had tasted their despair. It had shattered their world. The vessel was now a liability, a potential witness. Even if muzzled, the risk remained. The smoke prepared to leave. The death was always mysterious, in a holding cell, awaiting trial, or sometimes even before arrest. It looked like a sudden collapse, a heart attack, an aneurysm, no outward signs of struggle. The coroners would be puzzled. No clear cause, just a life extinguished. The host, in their final moments, might feel a strange lightness. The cold presence receding, a flicker of their old self returning. But it was too late. The body was too weak, the spirit too damaged. They died with the truth unspoken, a silent, tragic end. Another mystery for the files. The black smoke would depart as silently as it arrived, leaving behind a corpse and a story of human darkness. No one mourned the demon's exit. They did not know it was ever there. They mourned a person who had inexplicably turned evil, and then, inexplicably, died. The pattern was lost on them. The smoke demon moved on, unseen, unhindered. Another town, another city. The world was full of dabblers, full of reckless whispers, full of open doors. Its hunger was endless, its patience eternal. It was a shadow that stretched across the landscape of human folly. The cameras would show it again and again, that brief, inexplicable wisp, black smoke, near a scene of tragedy. Before a body was found, analysts would scratch their heads, technicians would check the equipment. No one made the connection. The truth was too strange. The stories would become local legends. The madman who snapped, the quiet neighbor who turned violent, the unexplained deaths in custody, each a separate tragedy, each a closed case. The demon left no fingerprints, only shattered lives, and the faint, acrid memory of something cold and dark. So it continues. The smoke drifts, listening, watching, waiting for the next careless word, the next badly drawn circle, the next soul reaching for power. It does not need to hurry. Time means little to it. It is the darkness that answers, when magic is spoken without respect.